there she is in all her glory. Sick. All right, now let's get it off the trailer and then we'll talk about it. So this is my 2011 Audi S4 with a 6-speed manual, painted in a moly yellow. So this is a 1 of 56, basically spec. Audi in 2011 only brought in 56 S4s in a moly yellow with black leather interior. So yeah, it's a decently rare car. It's going to be my daily driver, so not the best shaped car. It's no show car by any means. It's been used for sure, but really excited to own this. It's been a long road coming, which I'll explain a bit later in the video. I'll explain a little bit, but before we go for a drive, let's take a quick walk around this thing and show you some of the stuff about it. So like I said earlier, this is a 1 of 56 V8 S4. So this is a 2011 Audi S4 in a moly yellow with a 6-speed manual transmission. In that model year, Audi only brought 56 of them to the US. So it's been a long road to get this car, and that's kind of what I want to go through, you know, as we're driving around. Before I get into that story though, this is truly the first manual car that I've had as a daily. The intention for this car is to replace the red wagon, which you guys saw in the background of some of the beauty shots of this car. Unfortunately, that wagon has just, it's used up. It has some issues. I'm planning on making a video about that car specifically, a little bit about the story of it and how I got into Volkswagen. So that'll be a future episode before I sell that car. But yeah, this is going to be my new daily driver, and I've driven it around a bit. I bought this car back in March actually, and I hinted at it in a different video that I got a new car, and it took forever to get this thing. So bought it in the beginning of March from a used car dealership in Pittsburgh, and then I didn't get it until the end of April. And so the story behind that, and I'm gonna leave the dealership's name out of it just because I'm gonna be nice, basically. It was not a pleasant experience at all, which you can probably tell by the title of this video. But yeah, so bought it in March. Me and Caitlin went to test drive it on a Saturday, about 2 weeks before our wedding. Test drive went well. The only problem was that on the test drive, the radio stopped working. And by radio stopped working, I mean like no sound whatsoever. Just complete silence. Could not get the speakers to do anything. You would turn the volume knob and it would show on the screen that it was muted, and then you would turn it off of mute, and no matter what, no sound. So the dealership and I agreed that they would fix that issue and then they would ship the car to me, which sounded great. initially, until basically, it took almost 2 months to get my car. So the short version of the story is that basically they put 3 radios in this car and got no change. In that 2-month time period, they put 3 radios in, they swapped the amplifier, because the amplifiers in these cars have issues when they get wet. I think they went through 2 amps and 3 radios. It went to the Audi dealership several times by them, and basically no change. And the real kicker of all of it is that they never once, until the day that they shipped it, they never called me first. It was always me bugging them for information. And every time that I called, they would tell me that, oh, I'm glad you called, we have news for you or whatever. And like, they just could not pick up the phone first. I never understood it. It was such a frustrating experience to deal with. So yeah, basically the end of it all, after that, month and a half, almost 2-month wait, the end of it was that they called me, or really I called them, and told me that the radio works if you play off of an aux cord, or off of a CD, or off of, an SD card if you're one of those people. But basically AM, FM, and Sirius did not work at all. So we reached an agreement on the money, the compensation back, basically, the agreement of, I'm not going to pay the price that we agreed on for a car that you guys couldn't deliver. So, and that's why I'm leaving their name out of it, is because we did reach an agreement that, was mutually beneficial. It's not really what I'm the happiest with, because of course, like, they thought they could fix this car, I thought they could fix this car. They made it seem like it would just be like, a week or 2 that they'd have it, and it'd be good. Unfortunately, as I found out, that's not the case, and we went through this almost 2-month thing of trying to get this car. So, like, that's a little bit of a frustration factor of this car, but otherwise, we were good. Until it got to my driveway. The beginning of this video was the truck delivering it, and so the car started off of the trailer. The shipping company, handed me the key, turned it off, handed me the keys. I got in it, started it, pulled it in my driveway, nothing. Literally, like, I threw all my stuff in it to go to work, because this was like a Thursday that they delivered the car on or whatever. So I stayed home from work in the morning, and I went to get in the car to drive it to work after putting all my stuff in it, and literally just got like, click. I was like, you have got to be joking. So I went to work that day in the F350 still, finally got home, diagnosed it, and figured out that it was a bad starter, which the whole time that that was going on, my parents were telling me like, oh, you should call the dealership and let them know that like you're having problems and all this stuff. And it was just like, I had such a bad taste in my mouth from dealing with them for the first 2 months of trying to even get this car, that I had literally absolute zero desire to call them and tell them anything. Like, I did not want to speak to them on the phone. I bought the car as is, like, no warranty, nothing. They were nice enough to ship it and attempt to fix the radio. So I didn't really expect them to do anything anyway, so I never actually called them that I had this issue when I got it. But basically diagnosed it, found out that the starter was bad. The starter, basically, it extended outward, but the gear never spun to actually start the car. So I had a friend come up, we bump started it, which wasn't fun, but at least it ran when we did that. So then I called another friend that owns a shop. If you're in the York, Pennsylvania area, EP Auto House, great guy, one of my friends. He does awesome work, but hit him up seeing if he could put a starter in for me, because if you know anything about these cars, they wedge the starter in between the engine mount bracket and the catalytic converter, and I had no desire to do that in my driveway. Not like that should surprise anybody. Plus I really didn't have the time to do it in my driveway. So yeah, I called him up. He was able, because the whole purpose of this car, well, not the whole purpose, the whole purpose is to be a daily driver. But what I wanted this car for is I wanted to be able to drive it to Helen for Alpine Volks Fair, which, if you're watching this, I think this is going to come out on the Friday of Alpine Volks Fair, hopefully, if I edit this in time. That's the plan, at least. But regardless, so the whole goal was trying to get this to drive to Helen, to have something fun to drive to Helen, because I really didn't want to take Caitlin's Q5, because it's a great car, but it's just kind of boring to drive an SUV. So thankfully he had availability to put this starter in for me, get it running. So I've been driving it around all week, having fun in it. But yeah, it's just like, it was one thing after another trying to get this car, and it was just not a fun experience. And if somebody wants to know where I bought this car or what dealership I bought it from, I'll gladly tell you in person or shoot you a message, but I'm not the kind of person that's just going to air it out on the internet, because that's not how I operate. You know, if it was a really bad deal that, like, they didn't give me any money back or anything like that, then that's a different discussion. Like, yeah, I'd gladly out them on the internet, but we reached a deal that was mostly amicable, so it is what it is. Overall, like, I'm still happy with the car. I just wish I didn't have to worry about plugging my phone in every time that I got in so that I had music, but it is what it is. Having a supercharged V6 is a ton of fun, though. The other part about this car that I skipped over to is it's been both in a front end collision and a rear end collision. So the paint isn't perfect, but like I said, I want this as a daily driver. So that's basically everything about this car. Probably not going to do a whole lot to it beyond maintenance. Maybe one day I'll lower it and put an exhaust on it, but for now I'm just going to be enjoying it. So I'm going to be quiet for a little bit, and hopefully, if traffic plays nicely, we can get some supercharger noises in this video. So we'll see. And the other fun thing that the dealership did that I forgot about until right now is, after all of that hassle of going through phone calls and all that crap to try and get the car that I paid for, they shipped it to me with a quarter of a tank of fuel in it. So immediately when it didn't start, basically my plan was to go put gas in it, but I couldn't even do that then. So yeah, it's really not like that big of a deal, but it's just one of those things that, like, puts a bad taste in your mouth. Like, I don't know, after all that crap, after all the hoops of trying to get this car and all the crap that I went through to try and get it, to ship it to me with the same fuel that I like test drove it with after you drove it all over the place to like go to the Audi dealership and test drive it and all that crap. Like, you couldn't spend the extra 50 bucks and put a tank of gas in it. But that's just me complaining to complain. Like, at the end of the day, getting this car sucked, like, as an experience. I absolutely hate dealerships. And that wasn't even like a car dealership, like it was a used car dealership, which, I don't know, could have been worse, could have been better. Well, that's gonna wrap up this video. Hope you enjoyed the test drive. Let me know what you want to see me do with this car, if anything, or if you want to know more things about it or whatever. Just leave a comment below with whatever you want to see for this car. I really don't have any plans for it yet beyond just drive it and enjoy it. So that's gonna wrap it up. If you're in Helen this week, stop by, say hi, wave to me on the street, tell me that you subscribe to the channel. It'll be awesome to meet some people if you guys do subscribe to the channel and happen to be in Helen. And if you don't subscribe to the channel, click that button down in the bottom corner there. Subscribe. Helps me out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And we'll see everybody next time.